Hey friends, welcome back to World Drum Club. I'm Kalani, your host and teacher, and I'm going to be talking about Orff instruments today, and this is a little introduction. What is an Orff instrument? Maybe you've heard that term, Orff, O-R-F-F. If you've heard a little more, you might have heard the term Orff-Schulwerk. Well, Orff is referring to Carl Orff, the Austrian composer. He and his partner, Gunnold Kateman, co-developed an approach to teaching music and movement to children back in the day, back in Austria and Germany, in the mid-1900s. It's getting to be a while back now. They developed this thing which has been just a worldwide phenomenon now. That's an approach to teaching music and movement to children. Today I want to talk about what we call Orff instruments, which are a big part of the instrumentarium, all the instruments that are typically used by an Orff teacher or in an Orff classroom. But you can use these too. They're not limited just to that. So what is an Orff instrument? An Orff instrument is a type of barred instrument. Sometimes we call them mallet instruments, like this, which is a xylophone. Orff instruments come in three main categories. So xylo means wood in Greek or Latin. Xylophone is a wood instrument. So xylophones are one big category, and those come from all the way down from contrabass bars, which are in the double bass, the bass range, all the way up to this, which is a soprano xylophone. So big range of wood instruments. Then there's another category called metallophones. Metallophones are more like a vibraphone. They've also been compared to the Balinese gamelan. Those are metal instruments, similar to this in layout, but metal. They have a different sound and longer sustain. And then the third category are glockenspiel, or bells, orchestra bells. And those are also metal. They have a little bit different sound, and they're even higher and smaller. So altogether, from the contrabass xylophone bars to the soprano glockenspiel, the Orff barred instruments represent a huge pitch range, almost like an entire orchestra range, from bass all the way up to piccolos and violins, almost the whole range of the piano. It's really an incredibly big range, many octaves of range. Then we have the different sounds. The wood sounds like this one, and you're probably wondering what it sounds like. So this is a xylophone. I think you've all heard sounds like this before. So nothing fancy in terms of the sound. It's a familiar sound. We use different kinds of mallets to play them. One of the features that makes Orff instruments really suitable for the classroom, and the reason, now we had all these types of instruments before, but what Orff did and his associates is they created these types of instruments for the classroom. So these are really derivatives of marimbas, xylophones, vibraphones, orchestra bells. What they did is, first of all, they made them small and with a limited range. So they're child-friendly, they're affordable, they're easy to move around, store, and to access, just a small instrument. So most Orff instruments are an octave and 2/3 from C to A. There are some that are C to C, there are 2 octaves, but most of them are C to A. They're all like that. They're all the same range, basically. So it makes it easy to move from one instrument to another. The contrabass bars are a little different. Those are individual notes. But for the most part, all of the Orff instruments are the same scale, same layout, just different ranges, different materials. So that makes it really easy to move from one to the other. So that's familiarity. Also, you can see that we've just got one row of notes. We're not in a chromatic scale. We don't have the white keys and the black keys on the piano. Most of the time, we're just dealing with the white keys or a diatonic scale. The next feature, besides the size and the limited range, is that we can make it even simpler by removing some of the bars. And this is a key feature of Orff instruments that makes them really awesome for creating different kinds of scales and tonalities based on a subtractive approach. So we're going to subtract a few bars, and I'll show you what I mean. So right now, we've got a diatonic scale or a major scale. But if we want to make a pentatonic scale, we can take off the B's and the F's, and this would be really typical in an Orff classroom, and we'd end up with what we call a C pentatonic scale, which is a penta means 5, right? So we have 5-note scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it repeats up here. So now I can play this pentatonic scale, but I don't have to know anything about music theory. I don't have any wrong notes to hit. I can play any of these notes. I can even play chords, multiple notes together. And this is producing what I call the wind chime effect, right? Which means any of these notes will match. They'll go together, they'll blend together, and I'll sound great as a performer. And that's what we want for our students or children when they're learning to play music. We're removing all the wrong notes or the missteps or the sour notes or the unexpected notes. And by doing that, we create safety. And it's like using those lanes, those guards on the bowling alley, you know, when those guards come up and you know your ball is at least going to make it down to the end of the alley and knock a couple pins down. All right, it's kind of like that. Similarly, we can also add variety because most Orff instruments come with a few alternative notes. So we've got a little storage box here on the side, and I can have a B flat instead of a B natural, for example. If I put my B flat in there, and I also have F sharps if I want to do F sharps, but I'm going to just do B flat right now. And that would put my Fs back on. That would put me in another key, in another scale, another key range, which would be F, the key of F. All right, so if I want to move the whole piece of music up to a different key, I could go up to F, I could be in the key of G, I could combine these in any way I want to make any sort of exotic scale. One of my favorite ones is to take off all the Ds and the Gs, and then I end up with a kind of exotic scale, and I'll play that for you real quick. This is getting a little more involved in terms of the musical content, but that's okay. I want to show you guys these instruments because they're pretty cool. So now I've got what we might call a more Eastern or Asian scale. All right, and again, I don't have to know anything about music theory. I just play what's there. All right, so as a teacher, you can set up these instruments, help your students set up these instruments. As a student or experimenter or improviser, I have a lot of freedom, yet I have a limited amount of materials to work with, which is a good thing. So again, Orff instruments are barred instruments in 3 categories: xylophones, metallophones, glockenspiel. One of the key features is that you can remove or replace the bars to limit the palette and thereby create safety and create freedom. The size makes them really great for classrooms. You can sit on the floor and play, sit in a chair, stand up, whatever you want to do. The range is huge. Lots of different options for playing Orff instruments. And then, of course, you can add other instruments to it. Typically, you would have singing, you'd have percussion, or what we call unpitched percussion, like tambourines and shakers and other things. You could add recorders. You could add ukuleles, one of my favorite instruments too. Other sounds, whatever you want. But Orff instruments are generally classroom versions of some of our classical mallet instruments like marimbas, vibraphones, and orchestra bells. All right, that's it. If you want to find out more about Orff instruments, you can visit parapol.com. This is a Bergerot Orff instrument distributed by Parapol. There are many other fine brands available. Visit aosa.org if you want to find out about Orff-Schulwerk, music and movement for children. I'm an Orff-Schulwerk teacher, Orff-Schulwerk certified. One of the best choices I ever made was to go get my Orff certification levels. If for no other reason, you're going to meet amazing people, creative people, energized people, passionate about teaching and playing music. That's a really great reason to go to your levels and take an Orff course. But whatever you decide to do, I want to thank you for tuning in to World Drum Club and spending some time with me and hearing about Orff instruments. I'll be showing you guys more of the instruments in the future. I have about 6 instruments myself, so I'll be demonstrating some more of those into the future. That's it. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. I hope you get a chance to make some great music with friends and family and share our passion for music with a global drumming community, as well as spreading the joy of music to your community wherever you are. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Kalani. I'll see you in a future video.